the scent of fried chicken, black-eyed peas, greens, and simmered cabbage hit the air, you have all the fixings for a soul food meal. A popular American cuisine usually linked to the African American community in the South. While the term soul food has ties to the civil rights movement of the mid 1960s, the origins of dishes, foods, and ingredients of this type of cuisine has a past that starts at the beginning of the 14th century. The history of soul food outside of Africa begins during the 14th century, where historians believe the early European exploration of the continent influenced some of the dishes seen today. As Africans encountered food supplies of the Europeans, they embraced some items, as well as turnips from Morocco and cabbage from Spain. With slave trades throughout the early 1400s, various changes in the African diet took place, as their cooking traditions were transported to far-off lands with a new crop of edible possibilities. Eventually, some of the traditional foods of Africa would become commercial crops in the United States. European slaves fed their captive workers as cheaply as possible, often with leftover waste foods from the plantation, forcing slaves to make do with ingredients at hand. In slave households, vegetables consisted of tops of turnips, beets, and dandelions. Soon, African American slaves were cooking with new types of greens: collard, kale, cress, mustard, and pokeweed. They also developed recipes which used lard, cornmeal, discarded cuts of meat such as pig feet, oxtail, ham hocks, chitlins, pig ears, hog, tripe, and skin. Cooks added onions, garlic, thyme, and bay leaf as flavor enhancers. Some African American slaves supplemented their meager diets by garnering small plants given to them for growing their own vegetables. Many engaged in subsistence fishing and hunting, which yielded wild game for the table. Foods such as raccoon, squirrel, possum, turtle, and rabbit were, until the 1950s, very common fare among the then still predominantly rural and southern African American population.
I notice in the book, every time they mention soul food, the whole family is gathered. In the African American culture, family orientation and the concept of helping extended family is very prominent. Casey's mom and dad are the wealthiest when comparing them to her extended family because they have their own land. They manage to always have a feast with Casey's extended family. In the African American culture, the set of family who is the most wealthiest will provide food during the holiday times and tries to help other family members when they are in financial disparity. For instance, the uncle sold his car to the Logans to keep their car. In the African American culture, after the families eating soul food, the kids and the children will play or talk to each other while the adults will sit down in a separate corner and talk about adult things. In the African American culture, it is not unusual to eat soul food after church, Thanksgiving, Christmas, or any special occasion. In Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry, and throughout the book, the Logan families eat soul food after coming from church, and they bring a variety of traditional food during Christmas. According to Dr. Dorn of the Chicago Weekend, who said the following statement: these meals are often connected with two cultural traditions, Sunday after church and the holidays. In Chapter 7 of Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry, Casey states, by dawn the house smelled of Sunday, chicken frying, bacon, sizzling, and smoked sausages baking. By evening, it reeked of Christmas. The Logans ate sweet potato pies, egg custard pies, and the rich butter pound cakes cooled a gigantic coon with Mr. Morris and Uncle Hammer and Stacy had secured in a night's hunt baked in a sea of onions, garlic, and fat orange-yellow yams, and a choice sugar-cured ham bought from the smokehouse awaited its turn.